Boss fights in Spider-Man 2. Complaints for the first game were that they were too easy. They were fun, but they just weren't particularly challenging. So Insomniac buckled down and were like, all right, we gotta lock in. We gotta lock in for our fans. And made some of the hardest boss fights I think I've played in a superhero game. Especially that lizard one. And yeah, this is basically what the video is. Ranking all the boss fights in Spider-Man 2. We have Kraven, Sandman, Lizard, Venom, Symbiote Peter, Scream, Mysterio, Wraith, and a Symbiote Behemoth. That one was a bit more on the nose. I was like, alright, that one felt like a boss fight, you know, when you're playing as MJ or even when you first encounter it as Peter or Miles. So I was like, alright, it's fair that I include this one. But yeah. But anyway, let's get into it. Kraven. Okay. This one wasn't particularly hard. I won't lie. Because I was just so hyped up being Symbiote Peter, you know, having the symbiote, whatever. Because Peter wanted to kill him, or at least brutally beat him up, it made me want to do it too. Even though he's basically a villain at that point of the game. You know? It's bad. I don't really want to kill him. It was just like it was fun. I was hyped up because Peter was so into it himself. So then that just helped me get into it myself. But the problem with the fight is there isn't really any problem. It's just I found it a bit too easy, really. It was fun. You know, there were a couple lines in there that I thought were pretty cool. You know, because Kraven's obviously dying in the game just of natural causes, and he's like, "Oh, I will not let God decide my fate." I thought that was the coolest line ever. I'm not gonna lie. I actually thought it was so cool, right? But that's the thing. I'm not actually talking about the gameplay itself, right? I don't even really remember much of it, to be honest, because I've replayed that boss fight quite a few times, you know, with mods and all that, you know, just for fun or whatever. When I'm Miles trying to fight him and I have to get past Kraven, that part of the mission to fight Peter, to record. But anyway, points aside, the fight was fun, but in terms of where I'd rank it, it was pretty forgettable. So I think, this is the part. I'm gonna be honest. I think I'm gonna go C. It was enjoyable, but I would never look back on the fights or just any boss fight and think, yeah, you know, Kraven, yeah, he was so much fun. But yeah. All right, up next, Sandman. This is the first boss fight in the game. This is a tutorial fight, if anything. This is just a introduction to the game, and it was a really good one at that from a gameplay standpoint. And I really enjoyed just throwing himself back at him, sand or whatever, or just buildings that he would just, you know, wreck, and then you have to throw back at him or whatever. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was a good introduction to the game, and it set up everything smoothly as well, giving a tease to Kraven and his hunters as well, eventually trying to hunt down Peter and Miles. But yeah, it was fun just saving civilians and running away from him and fighting his goons as well. His like Sandman like body just coming out. If you know, you obviously played the mission. But yeah, where would I rank it? I'd say B, you know. While it was fun and a good introduction to the game, it wasn't hard, you know. And I did have fun doing it, but then I keep replaying it, and it's just like a simple dodge, attack, dodge, attack, you know? And they're running up the walls and stuff. But the thing is, when people rave about this mission, it's always whenever Miles gets dashed like halfway across the city, and then he just comes back, and it's just purely a cutscene that people rave over, aside from the actual gameplay of it. So that's why I can't put it higher than a B. So yeah. All right, up next is Lizard. Okay, yeah, I mentioned right at the start of this video, yeah, this was definitely probably the hardest fight for me in the game, now that I'm thinking about it, right? I can't tell you how many times I died during that mission. I really can't tell you, you know? He was difficult because Peter was just holding back tears as well, because he's just trying to save Harry as well. Because he needs Dr. Connors. He needs to make him go back into being Dr. Connors so he can form a cure and then save Harry. So I was getting into it sort of emotionally, you know, in terms of. But the thing is, every time I compliment the boss fight, right, it's always to do with the story, even though the story isn't even very good, in my opinion, right? But my point is that whenever I'm raving about a boss fight, whenever I'm bigging it up or glazing it, it's always something complimentary as opposed to the actual gameplay itself. But the gameplay is really good in this one. This is an exception because, right, you have all these environments as well that you can take advantage of and then trap him, you know, and just run up to him and just keep dodging, and it really forces you to keep parrying as well. You never know if you need to parry or dodge or anything like that, and you really use everything you've got. It really makes you use everything you have with his symbiote, with Peter's symbiote powers, his gadgets. Up to this point, like during this mission, right, it made me look into the combos list, and I was just trying to figure out what else can I do because I keep dying. And I gotta figure out a way to beat this guy, this like 10-foot, not 15-foot tall, 10-foot wide behemoth. No pun intended. But anyway, where would I rank him? That's the fight that gave me trauma. It gave me PTSD. I finished that fight, and I was like, all right, I'm so happy. I was sweating. That's how much I was trying. I played on hard mode as well. Was it spectacular? I played on the hardest difficulty, or was it ultimate at the time? I can't even remember. Point is I tried. I had to try. But yeah. Okay. Final boss of the entire game. I remember in the CG trailer for the game, before the game released, you see Spider-Man, both Spider-Men, trying to fight Venom in broad daylight. Right? I thought that's what we were going to be doing in the game. You know, you'd just be going around New York fighting him. You'd just be flying around the place all over New York. But no, that's unfortunately not what we got. Instead, we fight him in a football field, or American football field. And it was fun, you know, because what really sells this fight is his goons, and, you know, you have to use your concussive blasts and all that, and the anti-venom as well. So it was fun to do. But again, the thing that built up this fight was Peter's relationship with Harry. And again, Peter's just trying to hold back tears as usual. And, you know, Venom's just trying to get to Peter emotionally, just trying to piss him off as much as he can. And that is the antithesis of the fight, to be honest. But in terms of ranking it, I did enjoy it. It was hard. It was difficult as well. Yeah, I don't know which one was harder, this or Lizard, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I did enjoy it, but it wasn't as good as I thought it'd be, to be honest. So for that reason, I think I'm going to go B. And I'm actually a little disappointed in it as well, to be honest. Or I was after I played the fight, the first wave, because you play both as Peter and Miles. So you play as Peter in the first wave, and then he gets beaten up, and you have to play as Miles in the second one. I am so much more powerful as Miles. It's actually shocking, right? Because even this is the problem I have. I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to talk about it with this one in a second. But yeah, so this is the problem. So it just makes me realize how much more powerful Miles was than Peter, especially since Peter has the anti-venom symbiote. But anyway, on to this one. Symbiote Peter, Miles Spider-Man versus Symbiote Spider-Man. I do not know. I don't know why Miles wasn't fighting for his life in that fight. I do not know why they made it so. They wrote it in a way that Miles actually had a chance at beating him. Peter without the symbiote would kill Miles, in my opinion. So him having the symbiote fighting Miles is a complete no-brainer. I do not understand why they made it so that Peter and Miles were pretty evenly matched. He should have been fighting for his life, and I don't get that, and I don't like that. But the fight's pretty cool. The fight's pretty cool. I really enjoy the fight. It was, again, a very emotional one because he's just on the I don't want to sound like a broken record, but he's on the verge of tears, Peter. I swear, this dude wants to cry in like every scene that he's in after like the first act. But anyway, he's just so down bad, you know. He keeps saying, "Oh, all I wanted was to save everyone, MJ, May, whatever, and now everybody's against me, the city and whatever." And I was like, "Yeah, that's pretty cool." With the music as well, it was amazing, and it was so crazy because everything that I have as Peter was now being used against me. You know, his web strike or whatever, or his like or his like Venom Tempest or whatever move, or his web grab. I can't even remember the moves, but the point is that he was using all the moves that I am used to having myself against the Lizard, against Kraven, all these guys, right? He was using it against me as Miles, and that was just really fun. Along with the bell as well, you know, you're trying to get him to chime the bell so you can use it against him to defeat him. It was a hard fight, actually. It was actually a hard fight. You know, I'm trying to remember pre-New Game Plus, and it was hard. So for that reason, all the reasons I mentioned, I think I'm going to go... The thing is, because Peter should make Miles fight for his life, it makes me want to go here. But if we're going off of the boss fight itself alone, I think I'm going to go here, yeah. I was really close to putting it here. It's close, though. It's close. Okay. This one, I'm actually quite passionate about this one. This one's actually my favorite boss fight in the game. MJ as Scream. That fight was so good. Because Venom's there just trying to tease you into thinking, yeah, we're going to fight soon, but I want you to fight one of my lackeys first, you know, one of my offspring, right? And it was so cool because Peter, again, has nothing apart from his gadgets, his wits, and his will, right? And he's already kind of weakened in a way. He's already, you know, after everything that's happened, you know, he's still trying to fight for his life. Well, not really, actually. I don't think he was struggling that much. He was holding back quite a bit, but the fight itself was really cool because, again, of the environments or whatever, you can use the concussive blasts, everything to try and beat MJ. And it's just, again, the dialogue between them is really what sells it. And the thing is, whatever I do, sometimes I try to, whenever you're fighting a boss, you try to hold back a bit so that you can hear all the dialogue. At least that's what I do. I like hearing all the dialogue. So this was the fight that I didn't actually have to worry about that, you know, because it was just so perfectly balanced, as all things should be. But yeah, that is what I felt about it. And it was back when he didn't have the symbiote anymore, Peter, so you had to go back to his iron arms. And everybody prefers the symbiote over the iron arms. So I obviously hadn't upgraded anything. I hadn't upgraded anything to do with the iron arms. So I was struggling so bad, because I'm playing on the hardest difficulty as well. But we made it work. And the waves, the second, I think there's 3 waves of fights, isn't it? Yeah, the first wave, second wave, third wave. And yeah, Peter's just getting brutalized. Because you fight her in different environments as well. You can use the environment. And again, I've just mentioned that already. I'm repeating myself. But it was fun. And she felt like an actual regular villain in a way. Just like an oversized thug. Because you could pull her up. You could punch her, kick her. I think you could dodge under her as well, like a regular thug, which is something I really like. I really like when you can treat a boss fight like it's like an overpowered thug, you know, like a regular thug you might encounter in a street crime. I really like that. And for all those reasons, I'm going to go S. That fight was really good. I really like that fight. Okay. Alright, this is another problem I have against the story. How is it some of the best content in the game is optional? I'm talking with these two here, Mysterio and Wraith, Yuri and Quinton. You don't have to fight Mysterio. You don't have to do those missions. You don't have to do any of his bases and all that, right? As Miles. Oh, that's funny as well. They just give Mysterio over to Miles. He doesn't interact with Peter at all, even though he's Peter's villain. It makes you think that they just have to give Please, we have to have Miles have something of his own. It's fine though. I don't mind. I would have liked to see how Peter would have reacted to him though. You know, especially since he has had an opinion about him in the first game. But the fight itself was really good. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I love the environments. They were very well designed. His lackeys, again, you know, just Halloween thugs. It was a really cool setting, along with Mysterio just being an oversized fishbowl head. And, you know, him just going into changing into different sizes and all that, which was good. And in fact, you had to chase him, you know, at one point. You had to go up to him and fight him and whatever. And you had to fight, and he changed into different forms as well. Like, there was about 10 of him at one point you had to fight. It was a lot of fun. And it was hard as well. It was actually surprisingly hard. Because he's meant to be like a joke, you know? He's a dangerous villain, but he's not meant to be like the upper echelon of Spider-Man's villains. He's meant to be someone he can handle. You know, he has to try a little bit, but not very much. He's not like a Venom. He's not like a Lizard, you know, or a Kraven. But I really enjoyed the fight. So for that, I'm going to go A. Because it was just so creative, you know? Alright. Wraith now. This is the one I really liked as well, because this was the first, apart from Sandman, this was the first boss fight. Yeah, that's the first one I did, you know. And this was a lot of fun. Because this is technically taking place before Peter fights the Lizard, I think. So this is the first boss fight after Sandman. And she was a lot of... I don't know how she just got so good after 2 years. I don't know why she was so hard as well to fight. It was a really good fight, but it was surprisingly a lot harder than it should have been. But I had a lot of fun. Again, she's like screaming away. She's just like a regular thug. But you could just sort of pick her up, throw her around... dodge under her and all that, and it was a lot of maneuvering I had to do to try and figure out, because she's using the environment herself to kill you, not kill you, but like to knock you out type thing, right? She's pulling down buildings, she's like blitzing towards you. You know, you don't have a lot of time to react, because even then you have to either parry or dodge. So then even if you figure out her attack patterns, you don't know if she's going to do either one of those things, and you have to use 2 different buttons to counter her, or just dodge her, which is really hard to do, you know? And again, a lot of good dialogue between Peter and Yuri as well. It's funny, the voice actor for Spider-Man, for Peter, his wife is called... No, his wife is voicing Wraith. His real-life wife is voicing Wraith, right? And the actor who plays Peter, his name is Yuri. So he's just calling his own wife by his own name all the time when they're recording, especially in the first game as well. Like, funny bit. But where would I rank her? I'd rank her... Again, a really good fight. I'm gonna go A. Yeah. It's crazy, you know, Kraven as well. Like, he's the co-lead of villains, and I'm ranking him this low. It is what it is, man. We've done pretty much all the boss fights now. It's just one more now. Alright, this one. Yeah, this one's a little annoying. Once you figure it out, it's okay, but the problem is that you never really truly figure out this fight, even now when you encounter it in the main open world, because you keep having to dodge. When it's its blue attack, the one you can't dodge, you can't parry, you have to dodge it. But the problem is it launches towards you, so if you press dodge at some point, he still gets you for some reason, this behemoth. But I never knew. I just don't understand still. And with MJ, I don't really like playing as MJ. She's not as bad as she was in the first game. But she's still not fun. You know, for me. I don't find her fun. And even when... No, I think I found it easier to fight a behemoth as MJ with her gun than I did as either Spider-Man. Yeah, something to think about. But as a boss fight, it's like... It's not really a boss, is it? It's fun, but, you know, you're going straight into the D tier. But yeah, that's it. Right, let me know what you think. I've been JBHD. I hope you enjoyed the video, and take care.